Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Bad weekend, folks. We got some good stuff to talk about. We got some bad stuff to talk about. We'll have JC, we'll have Scott Carter. I'm going to show you some plays of how I was taught things and how I teach things, and we'll see if that helps y'all know anything about football or not. But anyway, good football game last night. Two really good teams, two tremendous quarterbacks. Fun to watch. JC, you're on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. What's happening, my friend?
Well, I watched that game with you last night, QB. I think LSU's kicking themselves for missing out on some opportunities they had. But nevertheless, listen, this weekend was about what we had here in town. And, I think, remember the old saying, hey, Jimmy, it's not your fault for playing the way you do. It's our fault for putting you in. Well, in this case, Billy, maybe it's just not his fault. It's the University of Florida's fault for hiring him. And the reality is that I think Gator fans, like all of us, have just gotten enough of a sample size to make a determination that after being, 6 straight losses, 2-10 against ranked opponents, and 1-8 against rivals like LSU and Florida State and Georgia and Miami and Tennessee, they just don't have what we want here under this leadership. And the good news for Gator fans is that this was just one game and we've got a long season ahead of us. And the bad news for Gator fans is that we've got a long season ahead of us and that this was just one game. So I just kind of seen enough. I don't really need more. I think, we have to remember that a lot of folks were saying over the summer and before this game that they didn't think this guy knew what he was doing. And I can't say that I disagree with him right now because I just didn't see anything that I liked on Saturday.
I will say this. We're a bad football team all around. There's only one positive came out of Saturday. I thought special teams was outstanding. No penalties, no mistakes. I thought we punted and pinned them in. Here are my thoughts, and we're gonna talk a little football today because if anybody listens to the broadcast, which probably nobody listens to the broadcast here, it's amazing what I can see during a game that I don't even prepare for the opponent, right? I don't watch tape on anybody. I didn't watch not one single play of Miami because I don't have access to that. But I'm going to talk offensive football because that's what I know. Defensively, we are terrible. Terrible, okay? We're no better than we were last year. But offensively, we make things way too hard, okay? I'm talking in the passing game. JC, we're going to go football 101 here.
Okay.
Every play, safeties tell you what the coverage is going to be.
Yes.
They can line up in 2 high. The snap, they can roll to 1 high. But they're going to tell you what they're going to play. Okay? So you either have a 1 high beater or a 2 high beater. Or some people call it middle of the field closed, middle of the field open, pass play. Then your quarterback at the snap of the ball, whatever the safeties are doing, makes his decision. I'm working this side. I'm working this combination. What bothers me the most, and I've been preaching this for years on the radio, when you line up, and Miami basically said, okay, in first and second downs, unless it's 2nd and 12, they're going to play cover 1 man-to-man, press coverage, meaning we're going to put a couple extra guys in the box, and we're going to see if our guy is better than your guy on the outside. Well, I've said it a million. If I had $1 for every time I said it, I would not be working. I would not be doing anything. Anytime we line up in 3-by-1, which is 3 receivers, 3 eligible receivers to one side, and 1 single guy, that is the side that you continually throw the one-on-one matchup until they change the damn coverage. Okay? We did it one time the entire game. We threw a back shoulder for 19 yards to Elijah Badger on our sideline. That is the only time I think we worked the single guy the entire game.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I say that, because it's easy. It's easy. It's like playing in the backyard. You can even look at that guy. You don't have to look anybody off because it's man coverage. Just see what he does, give him the football. Okay. Second thing is, Miami did a tremendous job on their offense doing that. I thought Shannon Dawson called a tremendous game. Cam Ward played great, played better than I thought he would. He's very athletic, but they made it simple. We played a ton of two high safeties. Okay. What did he do? He worked the middle of the field. That's the weakness of the defense in two high, the passing game. They ran a lot of inside zone, wide receiver bubble screens. If we have too many guys in the box, he would pull it and throw it sidearm outside, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody saw that. Yep. Okay. All that is he's counting how many defenders are in the box. Can my guys block that many? Oh, they can't. So I'm going to fake it. I'm going to throw it outside because the Gators don't have enough people out there. So it's that simple. Okay. And Joseph says 150 yards of offense. Look, this has nothing to do with the quarterback. This has nothing to do with the line. We are not good. And I'm going to show you some small coaching points that my coach taught relentlessly on a daily basis for hours and hours and hours. And it also happened to me at the National Football League. Okay. Because if you're going to be a good throwing team, the little things matter when you run routes. Like I said, I think we play way too many players. I think when we want to throw a post route, it needs to be either Aiden Mizell or Marcus Burke running that post route, not Elijah Badger. He is not a burner. I've said it multiple times for the 5 years I've been doing this show. Not every receiver can run every route. Willie Jackson, who was my top receiver, never once ran a go route or a deep post because he wasn't good at it. Doring never ran a go route. He never ran a deep post because he couldn't do it. So my point of the story is we need to take the guys that are good at what they do and use them. Now, defense is a mess.
Sounds like you need to get your application together.
No.
Your resume.
No, I'm way too old for that. I don't have time for it because I like to play golf.
Well, and good for you. It's a stressful situation for many. Listen, Mario and Billy came at about the same time. They were both hired around the same time. The differences in those two teams couldn't be more obvious. And when you sit around for 10 months during the offseason and you expect to see changes, and then you get those changes, okay, that the CEO, Napier, put into place, you expect to see something completely different. I saw the exact same crap we've been subjected to through 26 games with this guy. He's 11-15. His record says what he is. It's not going to change. And no, we talked about that Florida State quarterback, QB, okay? You said he's not going to get better because he is what he is. Well, folks, this coach you got here, who, by the way, is going to cost you $26 million to kick out, if you even do that, which I don't think is going to happen, believe it or not. He is what he is, okay? I don't want to keep hearing about, we got to change this, we got to get better here. It's kind of what you said about the FSU quarterback, QB. He is what he is what he is.
Yeah. So back to when I talk about offense is not hard. It's about
for
mismatches.
It's
but
very
here's
hard.
The thing. If people may remember this play, I can't pronounce his name, the little number 7 wide receiver for them. Okay. They put him in the slot to the left. The Gators decided to play man coverage. Okay. 6 yards off of him in the slot, we have Asa Turner, who has no chance of covering him. Right. All he does is run a little snag option route. He fakes out, comes underneath. Cam Ward throws it literally about 8 yards in the air, and he runs about 60. That's a mismatch. That makes it so easy. And that's what I'm saying. The mismatch, the almost the entire game when we were in 3-by-1 was the single receiver. So anyway, we're going to pull up some tape here in a second, and I'm gonna show some things here that a guy who does this for a living on TV, he's the one that sent this to me, and we discussed it. So Zach, please pull up the first play on the first. It was a great play call, by the way. We had good protection, but if you watch this, Badger's route is terrible. He is supposed to get on the toes of the defender, put a good foot in the ground, and stick and run to the left upright. And we need to throw the ball to the left upright. And people say, well, he doesn't have arm strength. That's not true. I think the problem is we don't practice that enough. I go back to our throwing days. We used to spend hours and hours and hours throwing routes on air due to spacing and timing and your landmarks. So if you're throwing a post from the right to the left, you have to throw it to the left upright or it's going to get broken up. And both our deep post routes, which were very good calls, were not run correctly by the wide receiver, in my opinion. Again, I don't know what they're teaching people. So I just get frustrated at this because I love the passing game and it ain't that hard. It's about landmark spacing and timing. That's all it is.
It is hard for some, QB. And it should.
All right, let's go to the second play, which it's a hot route. It's a hot route, but if you're going to be hot, the back has to hit the flat immediately. He cannot get up the field, and he almost runs into our other receiver. Let that run, Zach, right here. They're hot because we can't block that guy, and that's the design. So people talk about Mertz is under pressure. Well, he is because they brought more than you can block, so you throw your hot, which is to your flat, to your back. But the back cannot go up the field if he's hot. He has to hit the flat right now. You catch it on the SEC mark, and we're still running. So these are little nitpicky things that have to be cleaned up. They have to be cleaned up. I know the protection was terrible, but there's ways around protection. Go to the next play, Zach. All right, we're going to go to this next one. Okay. Put it on. Oh, I need to see it on the big screen, Zach. I need to see. Okay, here it is. This is the interception. Okay. Go back. Rewind. Okay. Graham, and like I said, I don't know what the coaches are teaching these people. But when you throw seam routes, hold it, pause it. When you throw seam route, pause. I guess you can't pause it. When you throw seam routes, seam routes cannot be thrown any deeper than 22 yards. In the perfect world, 18 yards is where you want it complete. Because if you throw it any deeper, it's either going to be intercepted or your guy's going to get clobbered. Okay. We run what we used to call a Wahoo steamers, where instead of having this guy run down the seam, the tight end, he ran a shallow, and then the number 3 receiver ran the crossing route. We got to speed our drop up here. The protection's horrible, but if we're quicker with our feet, understanding this ball has to be completed 18 yards, and actually in the red zone, it's maybe 15 yards you're completing it. Okay. That's not a bad play call. It's just executed, and I don't know about the coaching points. I don't know about the coaching points or not. All right, so let's go to the last play, which was another deep post, which was a very good call. Very good call. We're going to get to it here in just a second. Oh, there it is. All right, rewind, please. Rewind. Okay, pause. Okay, there is nobody in the middle of the field. Okay, the slot receiver, not the outside guy running the post, but the slot receiver, I would prefer him to run a dig route, which is an end cut at 12 to 15, running away from the defender instead of just hooking up. I would prefer your tight end down here who's running a shallow cross to occupy this backside defender. You'll see the backside corner get into the play. So if he runs a corner route, it takes him out. Now you have all the land down here to throw the post route across to the left upright. Okay. We throw it more towards the middle of the field instead of making the guy go get it. It's a very good play call. It just ain't executed with the little bitty coaching points that are crucial. Crucial. Okay. All right. That's my 2 cents on football 101. All right, JC, what were you going to say?
No, I was listening and watching while you were going through that, and that's great. QB, I got to remind you, on Friday, you said the only thing you care about is the front seven and
that's very true. Because, but JC, I'm not going to sit here.
That offense wasn't an issue. It's so glaringly obvious.
Well, it was in this game because I don't know. Because I like Elijah Badger. He does things well. He is not a post route runner. He is not even close. Well, but I can't sit here and dial up. I mean, we'd be here all day if I dialed up defensive plays, JC. We have no pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, no.
Here's what I will say. I thought Miami, I told you Shannon Dawson, I thought he called a tremendous game. They never once even looked at Jason Marshall Jr.'s side.
Yeah.
They attacked the rest of the field. They attacked our safeties in the middle of the field. We're not very good. I don't know how else to put it.
Well,
we're not very good.
I think what we have is somebody that's just not there. He's in over his head. Okay, he's in over his head.
Well, here's the thing.
Are showing it.
Here's the thing. Nobody needs to blame Billy Napier for this.
We need to blame Florida for
JC. If you were coaching at Oak Hall and the Florida Gators called you to come coach the Gators, would you take it?
Yeah.
You damn right you would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so nobody needs to blame him.
No. Listen, the first thing I said today was, "Hey, Billy, it's not your fault. It's our fault for hiring you." Okay, and that's just look. I mean, what more do people need to say? Well, I've already said it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
You know what my favorite play of the game was?
What?
The first play.
Yeah.
They played man coverage. We motioned Trey Wilson. I think it was Trey. From left to right, we run a slant flat combination, which is like a natural pick play. We throw it in the flat, we get like 12 yards. That's a well-designed play for what they're doing to us defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like one staff had a plan and the other staff was reacting to it. And that's a problem on game day, dude. We've always said that this dude has trouble. It's an organizational calamity. He has trouble on game day. Whether it's preparation during the week or whether it's what happens on game day itself, that's where the issues are. It's on game day, and that's what he's paid to do, is to win on game day.
And again, like I don't want to say this, the trenches aren't very good, but there's ways around getting the football off with combination of routes, getting the ball out of your hand.
But they don't know it. Who's the offensive coordinator, QB?
Well, I'm talking offense, and we really, I mean, defense is bad. But anyway, there. Okay, enough of that. What else do y'all want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, man, I'm just tired of pretending. I mean, this is just the same old crap. We were hoping it would be different. All right, so fans are going to get to see what they want. They're going to get to see DJ Lagway against this pathetic team coming in here. I don't know what to expect other than hopefully, a lot of points and things like this. But in 2 weeks, a real team comes back. I expect to see in 2 weeks a much better approach and a much more clean plan. But I don't think it's going to happen because it hasn't happened in 25 games or 26 games. Dude, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean,
yeah, we'll have our hands full with A&M's defense.
Oh, we're going to have QB, we're going to have a hands full with everybody.
Oh,
and it's just the way it is. I looked around the SEC. There's not very many happy people right now in Baton Rouge. There's not I wouldn't say it was necessarily a bad day for the SEC, but I think we saw that Clemson is going to be challenged for that conference. They're still the same ragged offense that they were, last year. I don't think they were anything special. They won 9 games, but they're not going to challenge anybody for the national title this year. They don't have the players, and I don't know what Florida has. QB, what does Florida have? What does Florida have that could be exploited to change these results?
Well, the reason I was excited about it is because we had a losing record last year, but we had moments where if we make a few changes, I thought, and we made some additions on defense, but we're just not, I don't know how to say it, we're just not very good. I mean, I'm just being honest. No. Rod says, Shane, this is on YouTube, brought to you by Qualifying. Have you seen a Gator team so soft and look so slow? Montreal didn't look healthy. Montreal ran away from a guy, though, on that long run, and he had the angle. I even said this, I think, to Cardozo during one of our timeouts. I said, we look slow. We like a slow football team out there. I don't know. I did like from an offensive standpoint, I like DK. I think he's a good punt returner. I think he's got some shiftiness to him. Again, if I were calling plays, I would line up in 11 personnel or 10 personnel. That's all I would do. I'd go 12 personnel every now and then because you can really get some mismatches in the passing game in 12 personnel, believe it or not. We don't use it, but you can.
I'm worried.
But I would play Trey Wilson DK, and then my other two receivers, I would alternate these receivers. I would go Burke, Badger, and Mizell at that one position. I need somebody who can run, man.
Yeah.
I got to have somebody that can run.
Yeah. And I don't know what for 10 months we couldn't figure that out, QB, honestly. I mean,
well, it was the same way last year, JC.
Yeah, it was,
if you go back and you watch my programs, all I talked about was the single coverage against 3-by-1.
Yes. Okay.
If anybody listens to the broadcast, they will hear me say that about 25 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
And like, again, I'm not sitting here talking about, I know football. I know a little bit about football, but I do know from a quarterback standpoint, one-on-one is a hell of a lot easier when you're under pressure, trying to figure out what the hell's going on over here with all these damn players.
Right. It comes down to basically knowing where you're going to go and the defense reacting to it.
Yeah.
So, totally.
I mean, if you watched it last night, you watched those offenses last night were well-oiled machines, man. The quarterbacks were accurate as hell, got the ball in their hands, but they spread you out and they have a plan. All right, well, I got to say this.
Okay, go ahead.
Electronics World, integration and design specialist for smart home, automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support. Electronicsworld.net. Go check them out, folks.
Here's AU Gators saying it's time to get Kerwin. I said that 14 years ago, and I just can't imagine where this program would be if they had made the right decision.
Well, that ain't going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen. I keep thinking about, what could have changed to make this situation different. Well, it's a waste of time. The problem is you've got the second largest buyout in college football history.
It won't matter.
It's not going to happen, QB. I'm going to bet you right now that this season we're gonna trudge through it. This president is interim. If anything, he's the guy that hired Billy Napier along with Scott Strickland. I can't see him firing this guy and then forking out that kind of money and asking fans to pick up the tab. I can't see that happening.
Well, the fans ain't going to be picking up the tab.
The fans always pick up the tab. We always pick up the tab, QB. It's always the fans. And the reality is that there's no one that's going to just jump into this situation thinking, well, they've got a 2.5-year time horizon. Why the hell would I want to coach down there? So it's desperate, but it's not going to. Unfortunately, it's not going to change. I cannot see those two guys, Strickland and Napier, being asked to leave during this interim period of that president, because presidents sign off on the final decision. Until they get a new guy in here at the very top, the president level, don't expect to change, unless I'm just dead wrong about that. But, dude, there's consequences to what you're doing. And right now we're seeing the consequences to hiring this guy who was so in over his head. You explained it in football terms. I'm explaining it in general terms. And we've seen enough. I've seen enough. This guy is not the guy that's going to bring Florida to the promised land. I'm sorry. Those recruits who were at that game, they were probably trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get down there to Coral Gables? Okay, maybe I need to go call those guys in green over there. And that's a bad situation because, again, Mario and Billy came at the same time, and it couldn't be more obvious which program is on the trend up and which program is heading to the tank.
Yeah, Mark says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Spurrier needs to give Billy a lesson on offense. Look, let me just say, let me make this point. Okay, there's more problems on this football team.
A lot more.
Clearly. Okay, but here's the thing. It's no different than if I sat here and explained everything about offense to JC. Doesn't mean JC can coach it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean JC knows when to call it. That's the problem.
Right.
Coaches go to clinics to learn. You can learn all kinds of stuff. Like I could sit here and learn the veer. I can pull up a YouTube video from somebody back in the 50s that was unbelievable at coaching the veer, but I don't know the veer. I can sit here and study it, but I'm not going to be good at it.
The problem is somebody decided to write a check for $49 million.
Okay, JC, we got that.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
You've made that point, but again, like I said, that's if somebody offered you that money at O'Call, would you have taken the job?
It's
even
not
if you
Billy's
know it or
fault.
don't know it.
It's not Billy's fault. It's Florida's fault for hiring.
Okay, that's where I'm going with this. Whether you know it or not, and they offer you the job,
I'm taking.
You're going to take it.
100%.
Okay.
I don't blame him. I'm just telling him he's not the guy. I'm saying it. It's
all right. The Fox Den podcast here says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality. The offense energy changed when DJ got in. Yes and no, but they had
garbage.
They had their backups. Look, I think DJ's going to be great, but look, this is not a quarterback issue right now. This is a scheme,
everything,
overall talent, coaching, you name it.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Preparation. That, like you said, there was no plan. I don't know what the plan. Tell me what the game plan was in the barn on Tuesday. What was it?
Well, I guess they felt like Jeff says Mertz wasn't accurate on deep balls last year either. Okay, again, you have to coach the deep ball. See, people think you just come out and you throw the ball down the field. You don't. It's
That's what Clemson tried
landmarks.
to do.
It's landmarks and angles. I tell all the kids that I used to train, are you a good pool player? Because did you ever play pool, JC?
I tried. I'm awful at it.
Okay. Well, pool is about angles, right?
Sure.
To make shots. Okay. Yeah. Just like the interception thrown on that seam route.
Yes.
If you don't have the correct spacing on your seam runners, the angles are impossible.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of angles,
there's so much into the throwing game that the average person does not understand. They just think, when you throw a go route, you throw a go route.
No,
you don't.
It's precision. But QB, again, on defense, they didn't take good angles there either. It's the same shit. It's crap. I'm sorry for the language.
Well, Saban said it. You can say it.
Okay.
Did you see his comment? It was hilarious.
I did. I think he's pretty good.
If people didn't see it, I don't watch game day, and I
think he's great on game day.
I was getting ready to head to campus.
Yeah.
And I was trying to turn the TV on. I can't figure out how to tape stuff or whatever, but I was trying, but game day was on. And the first thing they go to it, Saban goes, in this new NIL, if you don't pay the right players, you're shit out of luck.
Well, look, the highest paid player on the roster is going to probably start on Saturday. Go out and support that kid. He came here because he wants to play and be a Gator.
Yeah.
And you have to go out there in spite of who they're playing and just cheer for them. I know it's a lot to ask after what we just saw, but again, there's 11 games left. That could be good news or that could be bad news.
Yeah. So, all right. Fox Dan says, Shane, you had great receivers in Spur. Easy for you. Fox Dan, you're not listening to me. It's about the coaching points.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you look at Badger's post route, he runs down there about 12 yards and runs like a banana almost on a post. You got to really stick to the outside and then get to your landmark. And then the throw has to take you to that landmark. There's so much into being a good throwing team. We had good receivers because they were coached up and they were talented. That's why.
They were coached up. Well, they were coached up. And that's, again, they showed some picture of two guys sitting up in the box, the co-op.
Well, that's another point.
Who are these guys?
There's no reason. There's no reason when I don't spend 5 minutes on an opponent ever.
And
that I can sit up there as of last year on the broadcast going, why do we have 9 guys on punt return? I don't understand it, and it drives me insane.
It should.
And I try to keep my composure. I said it. If anybody listens to the broadcast, I guarantee you I said it 15 times the other day. Mm-hmm. Why are we not throwing it to the single coverage?
Well, and you even texted that during the game to me, and
I know. People text me. I text them back during the game. I get so frustrated.
Well, it makes sense, QB. Look, we're all watching the same thing. Our eyes.
All right, JC, real quick, how'd we do on our Peachland Dental picks?
Well, of course, I'm over here in St. Augustine, and I left the dadgum notebook at home, but I'll have it on Wednesday, and we'll go through that on Wednesday as we get ready for another week.
Well, I do know my favorite pick was a winner, and I don't know if we talked about it on this show or I did it with Brent Beer. Was Old Dominion against South Carolina. They almost won the game.
They did. My favorite.
I know you had LSU. I had USC.
I did.
I know I had A&M. I don't know who you had.
No, I had A&M too, but I also, on a sidebar, I had the Notre Dame under with Texas A&M, but not on the show. I just think that there are so many teams out there that are looking in the mirror right now. Usually, the best improvement comes from the first week to the second. There's going to be a lot of trashy games next weekend that teams can work on things because they're payout games. But it's going to get real later this month and from here on out. So, folks, just
all right. So here's a good text from Jimmy on the Titan Mark text line. I need to get some of those before we get to Scott Carter. Okay. The head ball coach lost 5 games in the swamp in 12 years.
Yeah, he's lost
6 consecutive home games.
Well,
lost 6 consecutive. Wow.
No, he's lost 6 consecutive games. But what I think Jimmy is trying to tell you is that he has lost 5 games at home in 2 years, which Spurrier did in a dozen years. Okay, so that's what you're trying to say, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. There's no advantage at all to the Swamp anymore, and that's just shameful. That's shameful. How do you take that thing? 33 home openers that were started in 1990 by some guy named Matthews and Spurrier. That's where the home opener winning streak started, and it came to a crashing, flaming end on Saturday. 33
all right, last question before we get out of here. Manuel says, Shane, do you think we'll see Mert start another game? Yeah. I mean, he may not play this week, but look, again, like I said, this is not on Graham Mertz. This is a bad football team. That's all I can say. All right, we got to get to Scott Carter and see how bad he thinks it is. JC, have fun in the beach. Don't wear your Speedo today, please. That's JC. Join us on the Titan No More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick timeout. We got so many damn people texting and bitching and stuff. I can't get to everybody.
Well, just do your best, QB.
We'll be right back with Scott Carter.
All right.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Electronics World, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Nest and Wild. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. With 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, you'll never be far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Let's go back to the Titan No More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. It's Scott Carter. How you doing, Scott? Anything happened this weekend, Scott?
Doing well, Shane. You know, you're mentioning Miapa just made me realize how much I liked their Cuban coffee. But yeah, there was some unfortunate events over the weekend, obviously, that I'm sure most of your audience is aware of. Tough weekend for the Gators, man. Only way to say it, did not come out and play the type of game I was expecting. I knew it was kind of a toss-up, in my opinion, in terms of the matchup. But I thought by the third series of the game, I turned to someone in the press box and I just said, man, Miami's a lot quicker and faster, stronger than we are. And that's not going to bode well if Cam Ward continues to do what he did. And he did, and the scoreboard reflected that. And now it's kind of, as they say, back to the drawing board, Shane. I'm going to be curious to see how this season turns out.
Yeah, this team has gone backwards. There's no question about it. I was excited with the additions we made on defense. I don't think it mattered after watching the other day. You know, there's some things offensively that really bothered me as well, but we are who we are, you know. I don't think we're very good. I'm with you. I think we look small. We look slow. At least we didn't play fast. I do know that.
Yeah, you know, I look at these kind of, you know, the game has changed so much. We all know that. So you're looking at a matchup that the highest profile transfer in the whole matchup was Cam Ward. So everybody wants to see what this guy is. But you also, so I'm thinking, well, on Florida's side, you know, I got to see something big from Elijah Badger, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, Pup Howard, Joyce Slackman. Those guys have to show up immediately to kind of make this team better. And, I just felt like Miami's new guys, they were huge difference makers in the game. And Florida's not so much. And I just think, in this age that we're in, when you're wanting to turn around a program, you have to have the guys you bring in do it from game one. And Miami had that in Cam Ward.
Yeah, and we helped Cam Ward. I went back and watched it, and I thought their plan was phenomenal for him. They kept it very simple. Yeah, he made some plays, off schedule, but majority of their, and I said this earlier, Scott, to JC, because I put some tape up. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
They ran zone, inside zone with their two really good running backs. If he had too many guys, they couldn't block them. He just slung it outside arm to the wide receiver screen where we didn't have enough guys. And it's simple.
Yeah.
They made it very easy for him, and he is talented, and he's made their team different. There's no question about that. And give him credit because he's played better than any other first-time guy that ever walked in here. But what surprised me the most, Miami never had really any false start penalties. I thought they were well prepared, and he was very calm, cool, and collected. Jeff says, Shane, how many plays do you remember receivers catching the deeper throws from Mertz instead of having to stop and catch? I think he's very accurate with intermediate. Okay, Jeff, if you listened to my show earlier, to be a good passing team and to be a good thrower, and I can only go on all the teams that I played. Started playing football at 5. I finished at 36. So let's add that up. That's 31 years. You have to practice throwing post routes, go routes, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Not just because a ball is underthrown, or however you want to phrase it. Sometimes it's the receiver's fault. Okay. As I stated, I thought Badger's post routes were horrible the way he ran them. Now, McGraham's throws were bad because he did take them to the left upright to a good landmark. So let's get off the quarterback play. Whether DJ, I think DJ will probably play a lot this week. He may start. But look, this team it's far more than the quarterback, people. Far more than the quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What is the status on Graham? I know he's in concussion protocol, so I don't know how that works in college football, but I don't know if he'll play this week, right?
Yeah, he's definitely, questionable at best, I think, at this point. We'll find out more from Billy in a couple hours, but it's going to be a few days before he's even really allowed back into football activities. So, guess is we will see DJ Lagway, which adds a whole new unexpected wrinkle to where the season is after one game. So, there's always a fan side of the fan base of play the young guy. Well, they're going to get a look at him. How that turns out, I don't know. I do, I feel bad for Graham Mertz because the guy has done everything that he's needed to do. But I agree with you 1,000%. The issues that existed on Saturday, I mean, the quarterback is the least of the concerns. There's a lot more going on in the pieces than Graham Mertz or what he didn't do. So it was a team loss, Shane. I mean, when I looked at that matchup going in, I thought there was a couple of keys for the Gators. One, start fast, get the crowd into it, make it a 12-11 game where you've got that fan into the game the whole game. Well, that was pretty much rendered moot after that first Miami drive, and really there was never. I thought the town, the crowd, the stadium was so ready for something really good to happen, like before the game and the big Gators performance. And unfortunately, it got deflated pretty fast. And I give Miami a lot of credit. They played a heck of a game. You do expect a lot of penalties and undisciplined play from Miami team historically. They really took care. They zipped up a lot of that. And the Gators still had some of the issues that we've seen in the past.
Andy's question is on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon. Scott, why are we changing out 4 to 5 guys on defense on almost every play? Hell, we do it on offense, Andy. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's something that is kind of, I was watching the replay Sunday because, as always, you miss a lot live. And I was surprised to see how much in and out guys were going in. I mean, that seems to be hard to – it just seems disrupted to any kind of flow or rhythm. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, that's a coaching strategy. So I don't, at Billy – or the defensive guys would have to answer that. So I don't really know exactly the reasoning behind that either, other than just to keep guys fresh.
Yeah, we've been doing it for years. When we changed the wide receivers so much too. I'm so against that. Keep your best players out there, and then if they need a break, sub that guy. I know when you run like a deep post route or a clear out guy, a route, they'll send in a receiver so he doesn't have to run back to the line of scrimmage. But I don't know if it's in today's world, Scott, trying to keep people happy with a little bit of playing time or
I have
what.
I have no doubt that's part of it, but I'm totally like you. I mean, if you were going to keep your best players off the field 50% of the time, that's not a good strategy. So
No, it's not. So somebody had a question here. If I can find it, I'll find it here in a minute. Charles says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, you can't tell me this coaching staff didn't know we weren't very good before Saturday. There's no way you could hide how inept we are as a whole. I mean, what do you think about that, Scott?
well, I mean, if you're Billy Napier, you do what you have to do. And I believe Billy's so genuine. I believe he did think this was a lot better team. Um, I was telling people ask me a lot of times off to the side or whatever what I thought. After watching them a few times, and I just felt that it's still not a team with elite top level performers. I mean, it's just not. I think they're getting there, and I do think the roster's improved. I think a lot of what Billy has said is true. He's built a really good culture, but when you have the history with the program that but the fans do, that you do, that I do, and what greatness looks like, you're waiting for it to show back up, and I hope that we get more of those players, but I think they're still not there at the top where Florida will have to be to get to that point. But I still believe, listen, I'm not ready to write off this season by any means. I still think that this is a better team than last year. I don't think last week's performance was any better than what we saw. I think that if they grow and they get better and, they change some things philosophically for matchups and stuff, I think they could still be a better team, but it's going to be tough to have a good record with that schedule, Shane.
Yeah, this is from Gator Guy on the Titan MR text line. Most embarrassing performance I've seen in years. Maury completely outcoached Billy. Why don't we never run slants until there are 5 minutes to go in the game? I agree with that. Why can't Wilson run a slant? I agree with that. Right tackle passing block grade was 0. Yep, 0. Yeah, but you can help him, is my point. Urban and Lane. Lane's 94-49 record at non-power FAU and Ole Miss says a lot. We can't talk about FSU or Miami anymore. FSU 23 wins last 2 years, and Miami just whipped us. I'm sure there will be 1 to 2 say we cannot hire Lane. Why? Biggest surprise, Mertz had a really bad game. Difference between he and Ward was night and day. It's Lagway time. I don't agree with that. But Graham did not play well. Graham was under pressure. Cam Ward was never under pressure.
Yeah.
Graham made some bad throws. I'm not going to – I'm a Mertz fan, and I'll tell you how it is. But I think a lot of it is little coaching points that would help us in the passing game by quicker drops, getting the ball out, just attacking the single receiver. You can whiff and get balls off, but we don't pick the right side. Megan, you were right. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to send you some flowers there, buddy? Here's what I will tell you, Megan. We're not a good football team, but I will tell you this. I don't think we're coached well either. I don't think we have – I think our talent's not where it needs to be. I think it's better, but we do some stuff that I just don't understand. So congratulations to you. If you want to continue ripping the Gators or rooting for the Gators, that's your right. Obviously, you know more football than I do. Ted wants to know, how does the D improve? I don't know.
Yeah. It really did look a lot like last year's defense in terms of just giving up the big plays, being out of position some. I think they can make some adjustments there, maybe get better, but I'm going to go back to I don't know, when you try to talk about sometimes the same stuff, Shane, I'm not smart enough to have a perfect answer. I go back to the old, what's the old saying? It's more about the Jimmys and Joes and X's and O's, and I think that's still where the program is. Until you get some guys like Joe Hayden and some Brandon or Jared Davis's and Brandon Spikes, until you get a few of those guys back, your defense is not going to be what we think of as a Florida defense. Again, can it be schematically where can they get better there? I think so. That's more probably your field of expertise. But I do know that they have to do a lot better than what they did on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is majority of the people calling or chiming in today, it's typical. It's about play calling, and I get it. I totally get it. I thought it was one of Billy's worst play calls. Now, the two post routes that we missed were great play calls. But again, I mean, the offense was horrible from the quarterback to the lineman to the receiver, you name it. But I still think we are so bad on defense. It's amazing to me. I will say this. I thought Shamar James and Pup Howard played their tails off. They flew around. And I mentioned this to JC that I don't remember one time the Miami Hurricanes looking at Jason Marshall Jr. to throw his way. They attacked everybody else.
Yeah. Well, that was a smart move on their part. And they had success, so really they didn't need to throw at him. I mean, he's got the reputation as being Florida's lockdown corner. And I agree with you. I thought Shamar and Pup Howard probably showed up on the replay I watched more than any other two players on defense. But again, this is like broken record, Shane. If you said, okay, you can fix one thing immediately on defense, what will it be? You got the defensive line, man. I mean, They have got to start getting some pressure. That's why I was very interested in seeing, okay, what's Joyce Slackman going to look like? Well, he didn't even play a lot, I don't think. I mean, I didn't see him out there as much as I expected. Is Tyreek Sapp going to be able to get something off the edge or Searcy? They didn't show up much. And, Ward was, I mean, he looked like a quarterback, in my old neighborhood when we used to gather for football. The quarterback would run around there for 20 seconds.
He had, I said this on the broadcast, he had 10 Mississippi one time.
Yes. I mean,
10 Mississippi.
Yeah. I mean, so you just hardly ever see that in this level of football. And that tells me, well, your defensive line is just not getting the job done. I mean, Miami's offensive line may very well turn out to be one of the best in the nation, but I don't think they're that good.
No. This text from Ricky in Buffalo on the Titan Mar text line. What's your record prediction now after seeing us on Saturday? I don't know if we can win 3 games the way that went. Rodney says, Shane, do you remember the 92 season? Coach Spurrier found a way. I went away. I don't know what he was talking about. Yeah, we had 2 true freshmen blocking, but that's what I keep talking about. People talk about the offensive line play, which I agree 1,000%. It's not great. There's ways to help them. There are ways to help them. And there was one note that somebody sent a text on. I don't know if people remember this. DJ was in. We ran a counter play to the left, and he threw the ball. He got hit from a guy that came clean to the right side. Okay, that was not the offensive line. That was an RPO. And what I would tell DJ, if I was coaching DJ, on this RPO, when we run the counter play and we have a built-in RPO on a fade route or whatever, if you're going to throw that, it's got to be now. Or you have to slide a little bit to your left to get a step or two away from that guy that we're not touching, because you're pulling the right and the right guard and the right tackle, and your center is having to block back on that guy. He can't get there. But people want to blame that on the line. So that's the line's not good. I'm not taking up for the line. I'm not blaming DJ. I'm just talking about little bitty coaching points that he has to know. Okay, he's thinking in my mind, okay, if I'm going to throw that RPO, I'm taking the snap, ball's gone, or I'm going to slide 2 steps to my left and then let it go, because we are not blocking that guy. Nobody's responsible for him. These are little things that it's just like on the interception that Graham threw. It's a good play call. I still didn't like our spacing, but it's in the red zone, so seams have to be completed at 15 yards. You have to speed up your drop. It's bam, 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 throw. You can't take your normal drop. So just those little things irk me, but those are things that we just constantly, you've got to practice, and somebody's got to be in their ear. The quarterback coach needs to be telling them this nonstop. Yeah. All right, that's my rant.
Well, a lot of people have rants after this one, Shane, understandably, and I get where the fan base is right now. It's disappointment. Like I wrote yesterday, it's kind of the worst case scenario for Florida in the season opener. It really was. I thought if they lost, but they looked a lot better, and it was just a really good game, and Miami ended up pulling it out. I think people would have been able to live with that and build some hope, but now it's like, man, one game in, and I can't remember the moods being so dark. And
Yeah.
we'll see. Well, they got a rebound game on Saturday, and then obviously we'll find out more Texas A&M, but they're going to have to do a lot of work. They're going to have to, basically go back to the basics and see how much they really do want to get better, because I think that's what they have to do, or it's going to be a rough season.
Yeah. Everything Gator says here, I don't know what the hell he's listening to. He says, yeah, right. You love this offense. I've never loved this offense, pal. And Graham, I do like Graham Mertz. He was never great, looked like Wisconsin Mertz. Anyone can dink and dunk, 73%. Okay, you obviously know nothing about football. I can promise you, if I coached Graham Mertz and I gave him to Steve Spurrier, he is a guy that Steve Spurrier would have recruited to play in his offense because he's smart, he's accurate, and knows where to go with the football. So I've never once said I love this offense. So I don't know what the hell podcast you're listening to, buddy. I said the offense played well enough last year to win a bunch of games, which is a fact. Were they explosive? No. They'll never be explosive the way they play.
Yeah, they averaged 28 points a game almost last season or something. You're going to win a lot of games most seasons with a good defense. So, yeah, I think hey, everybody's an expert this morning because they had all the answers before the game and we did everything the opposite. But bottom line is, Gators played like crap. Miami came in and really played well, and you got to go back to work, man. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what it's going to look like 12 or 11 games from now, but if it's going to look like that consistently, yeah, it's going to be good for nobody. So
yeah,
hopefully
Megan, the same guy who told us how this O-line was just told someone else they know nothing about football. Well, that guy knows nothing about football. You may know football. I never told you the O-line was good. You said it was terrible. You were right. Was I wrong? No, because I didn't tell you it was good, but I can tell you this. You can help that offensive line if you help them with play calling, is my point. You don't have to have 5 All-Americans to play offensive line. That's my point to the whole thing. Everybody worries about when the quarterback gets hit. Well, sometimes it's the quarterback's fault when he gets sacked.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that. I can't tell you how many times I said to me, said, you know what, O-line, that's my fault. I held the ball too long. But y'all don't know that. Is this offensive line any good? No. Can we help them with certain things? Absolutely, you can.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they have to road grind people 6 yards down the field. So maybe y'all do know football. If you do, great. But for the gentleman that said that I love this offense, I don't know what the hell he's been listening to. So, all right, Scott, what you working on this week? What do you know about Sanford? Anything?
No, they lost to West Alabama on Saturday. I know that's the school that Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher went to. So I don't know a lot other than that at this point. I have been on that campus. They have a pretty nice little football stadium. It's a beautiful little campus there in Birmingham, South Birmingham. But it's a game that obviously Florida. You look at their schedule. This is really the only supposed cupcake on the schedule this year. This is probably if you ever need a game like this, Shane, I think the Gators need one like this. You'd like to see just total domination on their part on Saturday for the guys to start feeling a little bit some positive vibes around what they did on the field and to get ready for the start of SEC play. I think it's just imperative that they come out and, for lack of a better word, kick some ass. I mean, that's about the only thing that they need to do on Saturday. And it's not going to get anybody really excited in the fan base that you beat Sanford. But I think this one is one of those games where style points kind of matter. So we'll see how they respond.
Yeah, we need to find a way to win the game. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I want to get to this Facebook Live that just came through, but I have to pull it up on my phone because on my computer it goes away. Hang on, Scott. I want you to hear this. So Brian says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. Shane, so the problem with the offensive line then is not the talent level. I did not say that. It is coaching and quarterback play. I didn't say that. Maybe it's all those things that are the problems. That is again, it all works together, people. On a pass play, the quarterback has to understand the timing. Okay. And I go back to, and I'm not blaming, this ain't about whether it's Graham Mertz, Danny Wolf. I don't give a shit who it is. Okay. It all goes together. But you, as a play caller, can help those guys if they're struggling. Or you should tell your quarterback, on this play, when we get to the red zone, things speed up. You have to get the ball off. Hey, right tackle, get your ass in gear and quit setting so deep and attack the defender when we're in the red zone. There's so many little coaching points. And I don't know if we teach that or not. I'm just telling you my experience of 35 years of football. Okay. This is not, I'm not blaming the quarterback. I'm not blaming the right tackle. I'm not blaming the coach. It all works together. And even when all this is taught, it still may not work because people make mistakes. You get beat. Quarterback makes a bad throw. Receiver drops the ball. That's what's fascinating to me is people don't really understand what all goes into it. So it's a combination of everything. It all has to gel together, if that makes any sense.
No, you're right. And that's something over the years I've come to appreciate more, talking more in depth about the game to coaches and players. Because it's easy when you're sitting there watching on TV or in the stands and the quarterback gets sacked, automatically the offensive line sucks, or
right.
Or the defense is not getting enough push. There's a lot of blocking schemes that come into play. There's positioning. I mean, there's so much into it. So I get it, but fans, we look at it through simplified view. Did you win or lose? Who played well? Who played bad? But yeah, there's a lot goes into it when you start digging into the schemes, like because of your experience.
Yeah, we need to give a shout out to Ricky Pearsall. Glad he's doing well. That was a scary situation. And of course, Megan might be the most negative human being in the world. Says, I hope you're not a gambler, not on college football. I will tell you this, Megan. Mine and JC's Peachland Dental picks are pretty damn good. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. So, all right, Scott, we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully we beat the mighty Sanford Bulldogs.
Hope so. And if not, I'd like to see you and Megan at least arm wrestle or something. That'd be good.
Well, Megan's probably some big dude who played offensive line. He was probably like a left guard at some local high school or something. But anyway, very negative. I don't know how look, I love discussing all this. I wish it was due to a win. But somebody asked me, did it ruin my weekend? I said, absolutely not. I shot 74 yesterday on the golf course and won some cash. So that's all that matters.
You're living large, my man. I like it.
That's it. Scott, appreciate your time, my friend. Take care.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundation for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We'll be here tomorrow, folks. Hope you we appreciate everybody chiming in. We're not a very good football team. I don't know how else to put it. It is what it is. Whether I'm right, where you're wrong, or I'm wrong, you're right. It does not matter. We're not very good. Okay. Have a good day, folks. Take care.